No doubt.
Braedyn, you talk about your first 3 starts. You've thrown the ball at least 39 times in each. Coach Fickle was talking about balance. Tanner Mordecai, he only threw it over 31 once. Did you envision kind of throwing the ball this much in your first 3 starts?
I don't really think a lot about that. I think a lot of it has to do with the situation too. We've been in, a couple situations with Illinois, Iowa too, Ohio State, where, we kind of had to push the ball at the end of the game, depending on, what the clock was and what the score was and all that. And like I've said before, balance isn't necessarily run or pass. It has a lot to do with who's touching the ball. You want your best players touching the ball, and, whether we're throwing it to them or handing it off or whatever the case may be. So, don't really look a lot into that. We just want to evaluate each play and get better from everything.
Your head coach also mentioned something about that. He thought that you guys have done a fairly decent job spreading teams this way, but not stressing them vertically down the field. I know you can only throw what's called and what's open. What can you guys do to put more stress on teams vertically?
Yeah, I think for me and the receivers, just kind of being more aggressive-minded. Coach Longo talks a lot about being intelligently aggressive. So it's not so much about let's drop back and chunk it deep, but when the opportunity is there, let's take advantage, and we need to start connecting on those. That's what you kind of gain respect when you prove to a defense that you can do that to them. And so it's been a point of emphasis in our office and. With the coaches and with the players. And so, I have no doubt that, that'll be something that we kind of look to do better in this last 3-game stretch.
I wanted to ask about Tretch Kekahuna. We didn't have a chance to see him in the fall because he was hurt. So we got a couple reps on kick return. But just in practice, what has stood out about him and kind of playmaking ability you've seen when he's on the scout team?
Yeah, I think Tretch has a unique, just quick twitch ability. Much like the slots that you see out there, much like Skylar and Will. And I think those guys are doing a great job of kind of mentoring him and showing him the ropes and getting him up to speed with the offense. I think Tretch will be a great player. It's tough when you're a first-year guy. We've all gone through it. I've gone through it. Everybody out there has gone through it. So, he's learning every day. He's getting better every day. Catches the ball well. And he's got really natural ability, to play the position. So I think that, he'll be a good player for us down the road.
Talking about the volume, one thing you haven't done in the 3 starts is throw an interception. What's kind of led to you being able to, have accurate good decision making, but also the desire to be more accurate?
Yeah, like you said, definitely desire to be more accurate and complete more balls. But, at the same time, we talk a lot about not endangering the football. The quarterback is by far the position that generates the most turnovers on the field, whether it be throwing it to the defense, fumbling the ball, strip sacks, whatever the case may be. So, we are kind of the driving force in the turnover margin a lot of times. And so that's just always, every single game, every single play, that's going to be an important thing on my mind.
And how do you channel that aggressiveness while also, maintaining turnover-free football?
Like you said, it's just making good decisions. It's being intelligently aggressive. It's taking what they give you. And just, like I said, not endangering the football.
I'm sure every quarterback strives to be as efficient as they possibly can. And you're still in your first year. Is there something you've identified in terms of completion percentage and trying to get a higher percentage? I know it's probably different every game. Are there certain things you feel like you can do to be a bit of a more efficient quarterback?
Yeah, I think naturally you kind of look at the stat line of the offense and, you want to raise the completion percentage. And I think it's just kind of going back and watching each play, whether it's, me making a better throw or we had a drop ball or, maybe, we could have had if the ball was better, we could have had a little more run after catch or where the ball was placed gave the DB a chance to get his hands on it. So, I think everything kind of has its own life a little bit out there. And, just trying to hone in and make as many perfect plays and perfect decisions as we can.
Skilled positions on this team on the offensive side have had to go to youth because of injury. How hard is this offense to grab, not just if you're a first-year player for anybody, but when you're a young first-year player, just getting those reps in. Is this a hard offense to sink into and get used to? Maybe is that some of the problems you might be facing right now?
I wouldn't say it's too difficult. I think one plus of the kids here is that everybody is very focused, and they care a lot about knowing their jobs, and when they get out there they want to know what they're doing, and so I think from an understanding standpoint, we're in a really good place there. Like I said, these kids and these players care a lot about knowing their job when they get out there, so I wouldn't say that's a big problem for us. I just think sometimes it's inexperience, and sometimes every game has kind of been different issues come up, and it's just kind of finding a way to put together a clean game and a full performance.
Braedyn, when you kind of look at how you guys as an offense performed the last few weeks, what do you think you can do to better make defenses defend the whole field, whether it's deep passing or getting out on the edges?
Right. I think, like I was talking about earlier, I think for me it's just kind of being a little more intelligently aggressive, taking a shot when it's there, not passing up on that stuff. And then, also just kind of putting an emphasis between me and the receivers, when we are taking shots, we got to hit them, so, anybody can drop back and launch 150 yards, but, to connect and to hurt people doing that, I think it puts something else in a D coordinator's mind and a DB's mind, and it changes kind of their philosophy and perspective on you.
Braedyn, talking about Bryson Green last week, he had a monster first half, 6 targets, 94 yards, the touchdown. Second half, he only had 1 target, which was on the first drive. What worked so well in the first half, and then what ultimately didn't work in the second half when watching the film?
That's a good question. I didn't necessarily know all the stats like that, but I would just say, Bryson's a really good player for us. When I'm out there, I definitely need to find ways to focus balls his way. That's one thing that I think I could critique from my last 3 weeks playing. Is just target a playmaker like him more, give him more opportunities. And so, I think we should have probably given him the ball more in the second half, and I take responsibility for that. And we'll learn from it and grow from it.
You've been a starter for about a month now. I'm sure this is a time of your life you've always kind of dreamt of and thought of. How has it maybe been, whether you're out in campus, getting recognized maybe more, maybe on the field? How have things gone maybe how you thought they would compared to how they are?
Yeah, it's been an awesome experience. I've got a really, really great, group of teammates and great quarterback room, awesome coaching staff. One thing is, these guys, they believe in me, and I do think that they trust me out there, and I believe in myself as well. And so from that standpoint, it's gone really well, and we're continuing to grow and kind of learn on the fly. We're all in this thing together. And then when it comes to the results on the field, obviously, you want, the Illinois game was great. We battled with Ohio State, still lost that game. So, there's things that we want back from there. And then obviously last week, plenty of things that we want back. So, you want more out of the results that you've gotten. But overall, it's been a good experience. But yeah, not going to stop, pushing to get better and trying to grow from everything.
Braedyn, we always hear about guys needing to have a short memory, especially after a tough loss. What do you do personally to kind of get over a tough beat like that?
I wouldn't say there's really anything in particular. I just think, this college football, the landscape of it, it moves so fast. I think if you asked a lot of our guys, it feels like we were just running out there against Buffalo, and here we are about to play the 10th game of the season. So I think it goes really fast. And for us, there's not a lot of break time, and so it's just every weekend is a quick turnaround. So here we are Tuesday practice, getting ready for Northwestern, and we just played Indiana. So it's easy to kind of sulk in your losses, and it's easy to get hung up on some things, but you got to turn around and you got to move on, because you're going to be out there before you know it.
After the Indiana game, on the way back, did you look at stuff on an iPad on the way back, or did you just need to get away from the game for like a few hours?
On the way back, I just kind of, talked to my folks and, messaged my family. I did watch the Indiana game myself. I always kind of, every game, win or lose, I'm going to take a peek at it before I go in on Sunday. We played an 11 o'clock game, or I guess over there it was at noon, but, it gave us a chance to kind of get back at a decent time, turn off the football. I mean, it was all right. I mean, honestly, there's nothing worse than losing an 11 o'clock game because you think about it all day. But yeah, I mean, everybody kind of has their own routine of getting away from the game and all that.
When you looked at the tape either on your own or when you guys broke it down, just from the quarterback's perspective, what were some things that jumped out?
For me, I think it was frustrating. Obviously, anytime you lose a game, like that, you only score 14 points, a game that you feel like you should win. Obviously it's frustrating. I think for me, definitely there's probably 10 or 11 plays in that game that I'd say I wanted back, whether it be, an errant throw here and there, or, a bad decision in the run game, or, a bad defensive ID by me. Just little things here and there, but that's the thing about college football is I don't think that the talent gap is very big. I think if you're a college football player in the Big Ten, you have a lot of ability, and so for myself as a young player, I think it goes to show that those little margins of error will lose you football games, and that was very apparent when I watched the film.
Braedyn, your coach said that you guys should maybe look to target Riley Nowakowski a little more. He had a huge catch. With you guys throwing the ball 40 times a game already, how do you guys find ways to throw targets to more players and things like that?
It just kind of depends on the play call. We have certain things that really we're throwing it to a certain guy where there's not much of a read. And then we have pure progression plays. That's kind of the air raid that we all talk about where it's 1 to 2 to 3. And so, if it's anything like that, it doesn't really matter. We're going to go 1 to 2 to 3 and get the ball to the open guy. And, but there are times where, if we want to target certain players, then we can design something or call something within our offense, within what we do, to kind of focus balls to certain players.
Through 3 weeks, now you've gotten a little bit of a chance to start. How do you feel you've kind of progressed as a player going from, beginning of the offseason to when you started, that game against Illinois to now? How do you feel you've progressed?
Just kind of learn a lot about, how this game works at this level. I was kind of talking about it earlier. I think, like I said, I don't think that there's a huge talent gap in college football. And I think that, it's very little marginal plays that win and lose you games. And, I think it's just very important to, whether you get 60, 70, 80 plays in a game, you have to be locked in and you have to be, playing your best football on all of those snaps, to win games. And that's why playing quarterback at this level is really hard.